Hi everyone, today I will talk a little bit about cloud computing. So to get started, what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is basically, in a nutshell, can be defined as services that are given through the internet. I think that is a pretty simple definition. That is how I see it at least. And but there's another definition, at least from Amazon. They define it as an on-demand delivery of IT resources through the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. And as you can see, it is pretty similar uh, from the definition I gave before. It is just that we have a couple of elements more. For example, a pretty important one, pay-as-you-go pricing, which is one of the biggest advantages that the cloud has, that you only pay for for the resources that you use. And yes, that would be it. That is what cloud computing is, and services given through the internet. So we have also several cloud deployment models. There are three. First of all, we have the cloud-based model, which is basically when you have uh, everything, absolutely everything in the cloud. For example, you might have when you don't have nothing on premise and you decide to put everything in the cloud. For example, you can use, I don't know, you might be needing some sort of, or an application that you may have, you might want to host it on the cloud and use the services that they have for the storage as well, and etc. But on the other hand, the on-premise model is when you buy everything yourself. When and you buy the servers and other components that the servers might need in order to make them powerful. Let's put it like that. And but doing this on your own involves also a lot of cost because these servers will require maintenance and and yeah, and this will require you to hire people, for example, to maintain the servers, and all that means money, of course. So, and for example, if you're a startup as well, you might not be completely sure whether or not uh, what the demand will be. Then you have to like guess how much resources you need. So there are several disadvantages, but continuing with the last model, we have the hybrid model, which is basically just a combination of the cloud-based model and the on-premise model. There are certain organizations that might already have their on-premise servers and data centers, and they want to migrate to the cloud, for example. So they take one step after the other, and I don't know, they hire a couple of services from the cloud and they migrate those services. So there, in that case, that there would be a hybrid model because they would be using both. But for example, another case, let's say, is when you or the government, for example, there might be some sensitive data that you don't want to put out there on the internet, in this case in the cloud. So you probably will want to have them on premise servers. But you might also want to use the benefits that the cloud provides. For example, there are services to analyze data. For example, you might want to use that and to use the computational power that they have and the different utilities. So that is another use case. So those would be the cloud deployment models. Then lastly, we have a couple of benefits from cloud computing. I will describe them very quickly. First of all, we have trade upfront expenses for variable expenses. This is something which I already talked about a little bit before. This basically means that I mean, if you want to buy the servers yourself, uh, well, you will have to buy all this stuff, well, the servers themselves and the data centers, and before even using them at all. While on the other hand, if you use the cloud, the expense will be variable because you will only hire the service you need for the time you need, and you will only pay for what you use. For example, and if there is a high demand, then it will scale. The cloud has the capability to scale automatically so that the cloud can meet that demand. And if that uh, demand decreases later, the cloud will will reduce the amount of resources being used. So in all this process, the expenses will vary. So that is what a little bit what this first benefit means, and that will represent a lot of you will save a lot of money in costs. The next one is to stop spending money to run and maintain data centers. As I mentioned before, buying your own servers that involves a lot of cost. You will have to spend a lot of money paying people to maintain the servers. For example, if you want to enhance your servers, that will also require money, and it is pretty expensive actually. So with a cloud, you don't have to do any of that, and you can, as I mentioned before, pay for what you use. The next one is to stop guessing the capacity. This is also related to, for example, uh, at the beginning, if you want to start a business, for example, you might not know what the demand is that you'll have. So you have to guess how many resources you will need if you were to buy your own servers, for example. So you would have to guess. On the other hand, with the cloud, that's not necessary. You just you just hire the service, and if there is if it turns out that there is a high demand, then the cloud with a couple of clicks you will be able to increase the resources, and and that would be the same if you want to decrease them. You just it is immediate something that happens immediately. The allocation of resources in the cloud. Then we have the benefit for massive economies of scale. This means that there are several cloud providers such as Amazon Web Services, Azure, but they have so many clients, so many customers, enterprises using their cloud services that we benefit from this, and this results in lower prices, in lower pay as you go prices. This is what that means. And we also have increased speed and agility. Literally, you can deploy a service in the cloud with a couple of clicks in a couple of minutes. It is extremely simple. Um, so yeah, that's what it means with speed. And if you need, for example, if suddenly there's a high demand in your service, then the cloud can allocate more resources uh, so that that service can run without any problems at all, and that the cloud can has the capability to do that immediately. So yes, then we have the last one that go global in minutes. So this what this basically means is that with with as well with just a couple of clicks you can deploy services or your application all around the world. So that would be it in a nutshell. So that would be it for this presentation, and thank you very much, and goodbye.